Okay, welcome to the Midweek Howl, the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast. For all those who are tuning in for the first time, um, I I think I called you and told you about this last week in real time.
About the interview that you and the judge had that I wasn't invited to. Yeah,
No,
all
okay,
about it.
I wasn't going to start with that, but we'll start with that then.
Just roll in there to it. My
Well,
buddy
okay.
Ed's listening, and he's on the fence about whether he's going to shut us off because he says you talk too much. He said they need to call it the Shane Grove non-story.
Oh, jeez. So Ed said that?
Ed said that. He
Oh,
texts me every
gosh.
first Wednesday afternoon after it goes live in about an hour or two and gives me a play-by-play of what he liked and what he didn't like.
Oh, brother. Well, okay. Then we'll bring. Does Ed want to start editing the show?
No, he's got. I'm trying to get him to be a guest one day, but I don't know if we can get it. He can't podcast from the open plains of Nebraska, where he's out there making a living for this country of ours, putting food on the table for 380 million people every day.
Is he? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's just bashing me, is what it sounds like. Good gravy.
That's because he's got to ride to town on his horse on Tuesday night, sleep in a homeless shelter to get some free Wi-Fi to download it Wednesday morning. So before he heads back out, and sometimes it's a letdown.
Does sometimes that's just the way the show goes. I mean, we've done 200 some episodes. I mean, I've told stories on like 5 of them. I mean, come on.
Well, you know what
Jeez.
they say. Never mind, I can't say it. Let's roll.
Man,
What were you going to talk?
man, Ed.
So tell me about you and the judges.
Okay, so
I told you know what I told him. I said you think Shane interrupts me a lot. I said you ought to listen to the other side where you got the judge in there talking.
So we got an email. The podcast got an email. They were reaching out to me, but that's just because
You're the
who it
gatekeeper.
comes to.
You're the
I
gatekeeper.
guess.
You're the director. If we were in the government, we would call you the director of communications.
I'm the director of communications. All right. So we got an email and a producer from New York City. I won't say the name of the company because I can't think of it right now. But anyway, the description was they liked the show, which on the record, I'm going to say I don't think they ever listened to the show or watched it on YouTube. But anyway, they liked the show and they wanted to know if we would take a meeting with them or whatever, do a Zoom interview.
I hate those. I had a Zoom interview the other day. Bring me back. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll bring it back to it. I'll make a note. And if me and the judge would do a Zoom interview with them to discuss us doing a show, like I guess putting a show together with them that was a cross between Lethal Weapon and Expedition Unknown starring Josh Gates. And I'd said, well, number one, as long as the name of the show isn't Lethal Expedition, I'd consider it. And I said, but the only way we would come close to combining Lethal Weapon and Expedition Unknown is if you asked me to skydive or scuba dive or rock climb. I'd say I'm too old for this crap. Like Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, yeah.
Like Danny Glover did the whole time. So we did the Zoom meeting last Monday. And they just, they talked to us. They recorded it to play for the rest of the producers. I think the one thing they did like about it is that the judge and I have been friends since like we're 6 years old. So there was a lot of good back and forth between us.
Rapport. Yeah,
rapport, and we could have some fun and kind of tease each other and stuff. And the fact that he's a judge never hurts. It lends. I mean, you and I know better, but it lends to the real world some credibility. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And so I called and told you about it, and then you were mad. Like, why didn't you get invited? But I said, well, so first of all, I don't think they'd listen to the podcast. So
that's okay. And that's why I should have been there invited. And I would have had I bought a brand new webcam. And I would actually turned it on because then they wanted to see, then they could see the background of my office full of guns and dead animals, and maybe that would push us over the edge. They want something edgy, like all them stupid shows on the History Channel, Swamp. Creek, you know what I mean? The alligator hunters, the duck hunter, duck commander, all the people are hillbillies with shotguns, and I got a load of them.
Well, he said it'd be like us going and investigating Stonehenge and the Bermuda Triangle. And
I'm ready to go. I've been to Stonehenge. My old man didn't want to take me there. Didn't even want to get out of the car. You know what's funny is we were over obviously in England, and I said going to Stonehenge. My old man lived over there. He looked over and he's like, "Oh, come on, son." I said, "No, let's go to Stonehenge. I want to see it." And he's like, "It's just a bunch of rocks standing up with a bunch of foreigners and tourists around." He said, "There's not much to it." And I was like, "Dude, that thing's been there for maybe 50,000 years. The aliens created it." And
or the Druids, whichever.
Yeah, so he took me to Blenheim Palace instead. It's the birthplace of Winston Churchill. Now that's bad, huh?
Now, do you think that was better than going to Stonehenge, or do you still think you'd like to go to Stonehenge?
Let me tell you something. I know they fawn all over the aliens or whoever that quarried that rock over in Wales and packed it 200 miles and put them up. But let's just go from let's go from the postal meter, right?
Yeah.
What do they got? 40 tons of rock there, maybe 50 tons of rock.
Oh, it's got to be more than that, right?
I don't know. I don't think they're that big.
Isn't each stone that big?
Well, yeah, each stone's probably, 20,000-pound stone's a rock, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you go to Blenheim Palace and see a 4 or 5 story, 70. I don't even know. I'm going to Google it up right here.
So that was where Churchill was born and grew up?
I don't know if he necessarily grew up there because most of those rich kids got sent to.
So I don't know a whole lot about.
Okay, let me tell you that estate, Blenheim Palace, is 2,000 acres, and the palace itself is Baroque style. Hey, and you know why? This is why we can't win a war anymore. Because the Duke of Marlborough got this thing because he went over and beat the shit out of the French, I think, in the first job. The place is named after the Battle of Blenheim, where he triumphed over the French and the Bavarians at the War of the Spanish Succession, okay? If we would give our military leaders a freaking palace and 2,000 acres, I bet you they'd go over there and beat some ass. You know what I mean? TRICARE and a couple grand a month only get you so much. But when you're talking estates that'll be around for 500 years, now it's time to win. So hold on. The architects, I'm trying to get to this. When I put size in, it keeps wanting to say 2,000 acres.
But I don't know a lot about Churchill. Was he, so his family obviously was nobility and rich. Well,
it was half-assed nobility. He was like a third cousin to like his great-grandpa or great-aunt or somebody. Here, I'll tell you what it was. No, I don't want to slight Churchill because I love him. If I get another dog, that's what I'm going to call him, Winston.
Why not Churchill?
Well, because it's too many syllables. You can only have, Winston's 2, Churchill is 3. So, no, I'm jacking you. I'll see if you pay attention.
Listen, I don't even want to get into it.
If I called him by his last name, he'd think he's in trouble all the time.
Listen, I don't want to get into what our good buddy Stacy Brown's passengers think of the Midweek Howl.
Hey, what about Stacy? I can't find the size. My point is, if you Google up Blenheim Palace and see that they built this giant palace, it's I don't know if it's the size of Mall of America, but it's 7 acres. It's 28,000 square meters.
Holy moly!
So how many square feet is that?
I can't do the conversion.
Okay, square feet in square meter.
I'm marking this timestamp because I can see when most people listen to the show when they stop. So
okay, if I've got enough zeros here, it's 301,389 square feet, 0.49 square feet.
300,000 square feet?
300 square feet. Well, it's 7 acres. So you build a 7-acre limestone 4-story shack. Hey, you build a limestone 4-story shack. It's 7 acres. Let's just say 7 acres. That's 7 acres without even a bobcat, a forklift, a trencher, an excavator. They were cutting the grass. They cut the grass by hand. They got these little roller
clippers, or the push.
Those little push mower things you got.
Yeah.
Okay. They have them up close to the house. They have these big nippers. There was a guy that had big nippers. I think I've told this story before. And he's edging that thing by hand. And I asked him, I said, dude, I don't think I called him dude. I said, sir, he's a kind of a young, punky looking kid. I said, don't y'all got a weed eater? You spend all the money on the house. And he said, they want it to look original. And I said, do what? He said, yeah, if we use power tools, they're afraid it'll look like we cut the grass with power tools. So we cut it by hand constantly. And I said, what that constantly? And he said, I'm edging here, and it'll take me 7 days to get back to this spot, and it'll be time to start cutting it again. So we cut constantly by hand. You know, if we give them a bunch of zero turns Mexicans and weed eaters, they'd be done in a few hours, and they just do that, twice a week or whatever. But now they make these dudes cut all day.
Are they dressed in like boots and the white pants and got vests?
Cigarettes and
they got vests on and stuff.
They look one step above a mope, and that's what another thing my old man said. He said part of it they want to look original, and the other part of it, they give these people council jobs. So they have council houses. They have kind of a welfare system if you work. You know what I mean? Okay. I think it's wide open now with all the immigration, but we won't even get on that. But in theory,
how are we going to get an immigration in Great Britain? What's that got? Why would we get?
Because immigration's killing that country just like us.
It is
illegal immigration. Hold on a second. Illegal immigration is killing that country just like us.
Is it? That's the problem. Okay.
It's not the problem now, but you give it 25 or 30 years, and this canoe is going to tip over.
Hey, look, guess who? You and I won't be in the canoe in 25, 30 years.
I'll be in the fucking trenches. Are you shitting me? I'm loading mags now.
Oh, God.
So anyway, let's change the subject if we got any good listeners left. What'd Stacy Brown say?
Well, so Stacy Brown texted me. So last I forget now, but we were talking. Oh, it was the spoiled women and
educated white women.
No. That wasn't about the dogs. What was the title of the show? You gave it the title.
I don't listen to it.
Spoiled
dogs and mouthy wives or something.
Something like that. Might as well be. But anyway, apparently, so Stacy listens to the show while he Ubers. He does Ubering on the side there. And he had a lady in the back who, when I must have asked you what rights should women have,
I said none.
You said none. She wasn't in on the joke, and apparently she was not very happy and started.
So she didn't tip him?
Well, fortunately, the ride, I think, lasted long enough for you to then say, hey, I'm just kidding. But by that time, she had already swore at you and called you a couple names.
Good.
And
I told you early in the show. Go ahead.
And then she came back around and said, well, that was just mean. Okay, he was joking, but that was just mean to say. But Stacy thought it was funny. So
I tell you what, man, I told you right before we started the show, my old sergeant used to say, if you're not getting complained on, you're not working. So I take every complaint we get, every hate mail you get, I take it as a badge of honor. As we've touched the enemy and they have spoken.
Now you know how I feel about Ed running his mouth. There you go. How about that?
See, that's the problem. See, that's the liberal in you. You're trying to fix everything and make it all better.
What are you talking about?
Some people just, some things are just better left unsaid.
Oh gosh. So now you could say that, but I can't.
I was trying to come up with a Howler brand. They got these little baby steak brands and stuff. When you were over in Spain, they'd make you a little custom brand, and these people brand their steaks when they're cooking. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
And what I think we should do is whenever he gets some scrubby cows or we get some rank son of a gun. That I was turkey hunting this weekend with my boy, on a friend of mine's place that I'd love to get on here, but I don't think I can get him on the podcast because he's just El Lobo. I mean, he's just
too out of control.
Well, he lives down in the woods. He's 55 years old. He had a stroke last year. He used to be a big bodybuilder.
Okay.
And I'm not saying steroids took its toll, but my buddy used to be a big son of a gun. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then he went through a brief. He had a rough patch there. His mulatto stripper wife left him, and he was 20 years younger. And when these older guys get dumped, they can't. They used to say the easiest way to get over his last one's to get under the next one, but I guess your ability to see through that fades, right? So.
That's a perfect segue. This is a perfect segue.
His tides have turned, and he's 55. He had a stroke. He got snake bit, brown recluse bit. He's looked death in the eye several times in the last couple of years, and he's living with his 85-year-old dad that's taking care of him, basically. So, I mean, when you think you got it bad, he's relying every day on his 85-year-old dad. Hey, and they're out there running a sawmill. So my son wanted a turkey hunt. I got a farm up North Missouri, hunting farm, and he had to work, so we couldn't drive all the way up there. So I called my buddy, and I said, "Hey, you mind if I bring my son down there?" "Oh no, Dad, I'd love to see you." Blah blah blah. We're running the sawmill, so I mean that's exactly what I want running the sawmill. A stroke victim with one eye, that's morbidly. I'll tell you what he told me. He said, "Man, I'm in bad shape." He said, I got bit by a brown recluse over Christmas, and I've lost 85 pounds since Christmas." And I said, "Oh," and he said, "I've had 7 surgeries where that skin starts rotting." You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like he got infected. It got into his bone. And I said, "Wow, are you going to do okay?" "Oh, I think, I said, "What you been doing?" I was running sawmill earlier today. I was cutting some lumber. And I'm like, I said, "How enough can you do that?" They said, "Well, I get the saw going. I just kind of lean up there and run the thing. Dad does most of it." I said, "How old's your dad now?" "Oh, 85.
Well, so what are they running the sawmill to do? Are they
they're cutting big old lumber and doing some stuff. He was cutting some lumber to make some fireplace mantles.
Okay.
He had a big storm, and it blew over a big walnut tree, and he's trying to harvest this walnut.
Ooh,
he's got a piece to me. I'm going to try to make a gun stock out of it. But back to these crazy cows. So me and my son are walking around this 330-acre farm, and he's got a bunch of black Angus and red Angus. And for some reason, there was a young black cow, and I don't know if it's because we had camouflage on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you look normal, they're used to seeing the same people, I guess, every day. Maybe Ed can chime in. He'll call me Wednesday in my hot wash after this thing and tell me what these cows are thinking. But this cow didn't like us, and it started bucking and running, and it ran through a big circle, and it huffed and puffed at us and ran back, and it got about 55 or 60 of them. Basically, got them stirred up like a bovine tornado and ran away from us as fast as they could. And we're just sitting there. I felt bad. I'm like, my God, it probably cost them $1,000 with all the fat these things are losing. You know what I mean?
So
78 degrees, huh?
So it couldn't tell what you were because you were dressed in camo.
I guess I don't know. So
knew something was wrong.
A couple hours later, so where they ran, I was telling my son, this big bottom. It's got a big bottom. The Osage River's on one side, and this creek runs through, Boise River Creek. And I was telling my son, hey, if you walk through where them cows were, and that's where we were going to go before they all right through there. I said, eventually you'll hit the blacktop that we come in on from the other end. So when we left the driveway, I told him to take a left, and we went down, and I showed him. I said, that farm is all this side of the road right here. So we're going to get down to the bottom. And I said, we'll shut the truck off and listen, because we hear gobble. We'll just redeploy over the fence, you know what I mean, down the bottom. So he drove down the bottom and stopped, and there's that herd. It had ran all the way up that creek bottom and got to the fence by the blacktop. And I'm not kidding you. From around a cedar tree, there's a cedar tree right at the fence, right at the road, like 50 feet from my truck, right? That black cow, that black heifer, walked around that thing and saw us, and now we're sitting in a pickup. We're in the black, the county road, blacktop. The truck is in park. It's shut off. We're listening for some turkeys. It walked around the cedar tree, and it saw us, and it started bucking and bucking and bucking, and it did the same thing in reverse and took the whole herd back the other way. For all I know, they could have ran in the river and they could be drowned by now. I don't know, because we left.
What? How on earth would it even know you were sitting in the car? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, it just looks at us, I guess, and says there's two dudes in the car, or maybe it's the same dudes from over there. I don't know.
It's a suspicious cow. There's nothing more dangerous than a suspicious cow.
Oh, believe me, there was a girl I went out. Never mind.
But so you're talking about the older guys and the younger women, and it reminded me. I wanted to ask you. So our buddy Wade, is almost 48 hours into his trip to Colombia. So Wade likes
Bogota, Colombia.
Wade likes to travel. Does a lot of traveling for the entertainment stuff, and he had a trip. He could go anywhere, and so he tells me about a month ago, "Hey, I'm thinking about going to Colombia," and I'm like,
"So hey, did he finish?"
I'm like, "You know, I know what you're going to ask," and but I'm like, "Why would you go to Colombia? That's like a pretty dangerous place, and by yourself." And he's like, "I just always wanted to go," and he goes, "I'm going to go." And so what he did is he got with an interpreter, this lady, and she was teaching him how to speak.
That's probably the one that's going to rip him off or kill him, but go ahead.
Speak some Spanish. And so he was learning that, and of course he kind of made some arrangements to meet some people down there so he could, have some people show him around or whatever. But he was going to the Pablo Escobar Museum.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Did he watch Griselda or The Godmother, or what's the other one? The Spanish one's about 3 seasons.
I don't know, but this is the shtick with the Pablo Escobar Museum is apparently Pablo Escobar's brother hangs out down there at the museum, and you can get his autograph, get a picture taken with him. But
so did he do it?
He's going to go. He hasn't gone yet, but but you're not allowed to talk about Pablo Escobar, apparently.
Why?
I don't know. But you can go to the museum with his name on it and talk to his half brother, whatever, and get a picture taken with him. But you can't talk about Pablo. And so I'm waiting to hear what he had to say. But he got in there yesterday, and he said it's kind of, and I guess I don't even know where he's at. Did you say Bogota? I don't know.
Bogota, but I think they were really, Bogota's where he got killed, but I think the clan or whatever was Medellin. Weren't they part of the Medellin cartel?
I don't know, but I don't know the city that Wade is in. But he said wherever he's staying, he goes, there's about a 5-block radius that it's very heavily guarded. The town, the roads in and out.
Yeah, where the out of town money comes, I'm sure it's probably.
And you cannot get in there unless you have an ID. Like the police are stopping you on the street at the roadblock or whatever, and they're checking your ID because he said he had to go out to meet this friend of his, and when they walked back in, they wanted to see, had to see his ID and where he was staying. He said it's just to go when you get into your hotel, they escort you up to the room and kind of open the room up, look, make sure like nobody's in there and stuff. It's really unnerving to me. Like I mean, you've been all over the world and stuff like that. That just doesn't sound comfortable, like to be on edge the whole time, worried about somebody.
Why would you be on edge?
What do you mean? He's not staying in the 5-block perimeter that's guarded. He's going out and going to go do all this stuff. And he was warned it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to be anywhere it's dangerous. I mean, come on.
Oh my God! How do you go to work every day?
Why? I know how to handle dogs and people looking for their welfare checks. I mean, come on. I can handle that. I can't handle. I can't handle armed gunmen coming just to rob me just because they want to. I mean, I don't know.
I thought that's part of the ambiance. That's part of the flavor
Of delivering mail or going to
of
Columbia.
going to Columbia. Delivering mail in Columbia would be even better, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I if you could go anywhere and he could have gone anywhere on his trip, I don't know why he picked Columbia. I mean, I know why he picked Columbia. I know why he picked Columbia because the word on the street is that every woman down there is a 10. There's the most beautiful women in the world, and that's that was the attractive. I can just walk out the hallway and see the most beautiful woman in the world. So
I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's an old saying: "In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king." Right?
Okay.
And I can only imagine in the land of the. I don't even know if I want to go there. This might strike worse than the women have no rights, but no rights is one thing, and no deodorant, no toothpaste, and no freaking running water. It wouldn't take much. The woman with the good hygiene is to be a 10.
Are you saying that Wade is going into Columbia and he's practically Winston Churchill?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, he's heard of somebody's a 10 down there, but
actually the judge confirmed that he had a client who was married to somebody from Colombia, and they said that is the most beautiful woman in the world. So I hope Wade stays safe and has fun. He sent me a video. Because he can play some guitar. He was down there playing some street music.
Don't tell me that. He's playing.
He was playing with some Peruvian street musicians that were down there playing. So he's living it up like a real tourist. How about that?
I think he's going to do fine. And if he doesn't, we'll have a tribute. We'll have a tribute show for him if he doesn't make it.
I told him the deal was I need to hear from him every 2 hours just to prove that he's still alive, and then every 6 hours I need a picture, some proof of life to make sure.
You did not tell him that.
I did. I told him that.
Did he laugh?
No, he's been texting me and sending me some pictures. I mean, look, I'm worried. I'm worried
because. It's no worse than being in a club with David played back in the day, is it?
Probably. It's got to be way worse because half the people, you had people in the club that fight for you, any of the outlaws and biker gangs there and stuff. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not a world traveler. I don't know what it's like to be in places where you don't speak the language and you don't totally understand everything. So you're a world traveler. You go and do that stuff. But I mean, you've been doing it for a long time. It doesn't bother you. So I'm sheltered.
Well, I guess. We getting hate mail? That's what I wanted to ask you.
No, all I got is Ed. All I got is Ed on his horse.
Hate mail you. He calls me.
I know, but that's just as good as hate mail.
I enjoy it. It gives me a chance to talk to him.
to bash for him to bash on me.
Oh, we talk about other stuff. We talk about the world. He's a worldly son of a gun. Yeah.
Oh, well, I hope I didn't make him drive his horse off the trail.
Yeah, no, a good horse knows where it needs to go. It's like better than a Tesla autopilot,
Well, that wouldn't take much.
Well, you said it, not me. Sorry, Elon.
Well, I hope we didn't offend any of Stacy Brown's passengers this week. I hope Ed doesn't call you up and tell you that I should be kicked off the air. Hopefully the television producers think that we were good enough that They can give us a second interview.
I hope they called me because, I had a Zoom interview the other day, and I told you about that, didn't I? And it didn't go very good.
You told me, but you told me to bring you back around to it. Did you want to discuss it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I put in for a job that I was very qualified for. I actually saw the job in a management position at this organization, and I did not put in for it.
Which I told you was a mistake.
Right. So the new manager, I put in to be just a peon, right? Because that's what I really want. I don't really want any responsibilities. You don't want the responsibility. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want any responsibilities. I interviewed to be a park ranger up here, and I pissed them off when I told them, well, I don't really want to be a real cop, and they jumped on me like a pack of hyenas in this interview. What, we're not real cops? And then what are you going to do? Look at them and say, well, you're really not. I mean, you got a limited authority and a limited jurisdiction with a captive audience, and half the year the park's closed. You're right, you're not. But they didn't give me that job. So anyway, I'm back in this one. And this gal says, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I packed a gun for this government in 9 countries on 3 different continents, okay? Mm-hmm. So I've seen some stuff. I've done some stuff. I've been trained to take care of other stuff. So I was just wanting a nice retirement job. Yeah, if I got to deal death, so be it. But I'll help you with your directions, tell you to slow down, tell you where the boat ramp is, right? So I put in for an equally easy job, leisurely job. Didn't put in for the boss. The new boss sent me a techie person. She sends me this invite for a Zoom meet and greet to get to know, so she can get to know me, and then she's going to decide whether I'm a good fit for the team she's putting together. So when you start talking all that stuff and you throw in a KPI, that's a key performance indicator for you people in Nebraska. They're already losing me, right? So anyhow, I go a day before, I do a little Zoom prep. Okay, where am I going to have this Zoom meeting? I can't do it in my office. First of all, I don't have a camera on my big desktop. The thing I'm doing this on right now doesn't have a camera. So a lot of the Zoom stuff I do for the job I currently have for the next 90 days, some days I use my phone. I use the Zoom thing. I use the WebEx. You know what WebEx is, right?
Yeah, I know what it is. Okay. Yes.
It's not really Zoom. It's called WebEx. We use WebEx. I use it on my desktop because those people all know me, and they appreciate the camera being off and the volume on mute because I got very little to contribute. You know what I mean? I'm a one-on-one kind of guy. I'm a detail guy. I'm not a big picture guy. But so here I am with this gal. So I go, well, maybe I should do it. I'll just do it on my phone because every once in a while I have to do a WebEx on my phone. It works pretty good because the problem is if I order a new Zoom camera. First, it didn't come in time. I was going to open my laptop on my desk. Well, if I do that, I got not 1, but 2 giant gun safes in my office, which isn't bad because I thought, well, she's unsophisticated. Maybe from the edge, from this view, the one can pass as a big black 7-foot filing cabinet. It's where I keep all the files. But then I realized it's full of bumper stickers and stuff. Jeep, Palmetto Armory, and there's a big old NRA sticker sitting on the side. I said, dude, because I done recon this gal, and she came out of the University of Missouri system, and I just got the impression that, first of all, she don't want some 53-year-old white dude with a... So I got a dead duck. I got a picture of the... I'm trying to turn my laptop. Okay, well, I can get part of the gun safe, but it's got a big picture of the farm I grew up in, one of them aerial photos, a dead duck. Well, Jesus. I can't have a dead animal. I can't turn the other way because there's 2 dead white, there's 2 white tails on the wall and 5 antelope heads, So then I go, okay, what I can do is, excuse me, I'll just do it on my phone and make a little phone background. So, I was going to go, well, I'll put my laptop on the kitchen table. I can't do that because it's got my son's elk head, my other son's antelope head, I turn it this way, you know what I mean? It's like, where can I go hide where I can sit down and have a table? So I thought, well, I'll just sit in my office. I'll use my cell phone, and then I can blur the background. So it's got a blurry duck, a blurry gun safe, and a blurry picture. And then it kept cutting out. I got great Wi-Fi here, and I can only hear about every third word. And it didn't work out because she did not call me the following for a second interview. And she said, well, if depending on how you do, I'm the new boss. I just started. I didn't have the heart to tell her, I know I watched your job open and close 2 or 3 times before they find you. And if I like what you have to say, she said, I'm talking to a lot of people, and then next week or two, we're gonna do formal interviews with some people from HR. So she didn't call me, so I didn't make the HR cut.
Well, I'm hoping that we did better on our Zoom interview, but hey, it is what it is, right?
Well, if I was on y'all's WebEx or Zoom interview, I would have just let them see all the guns, camouflage, whatever else, crossbows, horse saddles, whatever else I got in my room, right? Because it's part of the ambiance, right? You look at Josh Gates's office; it's got a skull, I think, on his desk.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wonder if that's really if that's just how he decorated it, or if it's a set decoration.
You think he had it before he was famous?
I don't know. Maybe. I can't get over that one necklace he wears. I just can't.
What's he got on his necklace?
Looks like a choker. It's like one of those like a little shark tooth or something. It's a weird looking necklace.
I got an alligator tooth, and if we get on this show, if you get a second Zoom interview and I'm invited, I'm going to put this alligator tooth necklace the guy gave me. And on the back wall there, I've got 3 fake walrus tusks that are scrimshawed. They look pretty good, but I know they're fake. But they won't. I think over a Zoom call, they'll look real.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope we get another one. Maybe if everybody thinks positive, we'll get another one, and then we'll. And they'll say, "Well, what is going on here?" Like we got we'll say, "Look, this is our ringer."
Yeah, maybe.
Ozark Howler. He's our ringer. He's the guy. He's leading the expeditions.
We got to always be closing, right? ABCs. Yeah, we brought in the heavy hitter.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out. God only